Hi, my name is Kimberly Richardson. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be talking to you all about grief and loss today. So if you know of anyone who's going through grief, had a recent loss, or had a loss that wasn't recent, maybe 5, 10, 20 years ago or longer, please share my video with them. You just never know, it may help them. So I want to talk about a few things today. Definitely want to talk about COVID, this pandemic that's changed the world. When you think of 2020, it brings tears to your eyes. It just hurts, it breaks your heart. 2020 has been a trying year for so many people. And some people haven't really been affected by it, meaning they haven't lost their loved ones, they haven't lost their health, and they haven't lost any income. But for those of us who have been affected, whether it be a loss of loved one, loss of income, loss of health, it's been very trying, very tough. I've lost a few people during this pandemic, and then I've lost 2 people that I was close to, that was near and dear to my heart. One of those people was my stepdad. He was married to my mother for 20 plus years, and he had been sick for a minute. He had a stroke, and he had started recovering and then just did not recover. I don't know what happened, but he just went downhill in March, and he ended up dying in March. Now, the last time I visited my stepdad, it was maybe 2 weeks before he died. I went to visit him, and I was very devastated when I saw him, because I just knew, I don't think he's going to make it. I don't see him recovering from this. He looks different. He wasn't alert at all. And I remember just spending time with him, talking to him, and I was very emotional. And so much was going on within that 2-week mark, that after I saw him, so much had happened from the time I saw him until the time the pandemic started. And then I was strolling through Facebook one day, and I see a picture of my stepdad, and his son posted "Rest in peace, Dad," and I'm like, what? So I found out on Facebook that my stepdad had died, and that was devastating. And I remember calling my brother and telling him what was going on. And it was just tough, because at this particular time, my stepdad died in March. Funerals were tough then. You know, you weren't able to go and do a traditional funeral at all. It was some people, I wasn't able to view him, I'll say that. And so that was tough. And for those of you who have lost a loved one during this pandemic and wasn't able to do the traditional funeral, or wasn't able to do the traditional viewing, or whatever it was that you was expecting that you weren't able to do, and there's a lot of us that weren't able to do things that we usually would have done if it was a different time. It's tough, because it's hard to grieve and hard to move forward when you can't say goodbye. For some people need to see the body. Some people need to be at the memorial, the ceremony, or something to say their goodbyes, to know that it's really true that the person had passed. For me, I knew he passed. I didn't need to necessarily see him in a casket to say he's gone. I understood that he had passed. You know, I contacted the funeral home. Yes, he was there and he was gone, and I understood that. And that was enough for me. But for some people, you need more. And so for those of you who have lost someone during the COVID pandemic and weren't able to say your goodbyes due to the restrictions of, you know, the way that they're doing things now, and especially back in March and April, is really, really, really hard. To go to a funeral. There weren't funerals. There were a lot of graveside memorials, and it wasn't viewing for some people. It was really tough to see your loved one that passed. And again, sometimes people need to see their loved ones to understand that, okay, they've gone, so that you won't be in denial and say, I never saw him in the casket. I never went to the memorial. So, you know, they're still hoping and looking for them to come through the door. So again, those of you who went through what I went through and you're struggling to move forward, it's understandable. This is so difficult. And so what you have to do is you have to somewhat do your own ceremony for yourself. You know, you have to do your own thing sometimes to move forward. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. I actually did. I had a widow who was in a car accident. A motorcycle accident. Her and her husband was in a motorcycle accident. Her husband died on the scene. She was in a coma for 3 or 4 months. I think about 4 months she was in a coma. And while in the coma, you know, they had the funeral and everything. Her parents decided to record the funeral because they knew that she, you know, she couldn't attend, and they just wanted her to have something when she woke up. This is the funeral. This is what we did. Something for her to see, something for her to keep, you know, that just something that they did for her, which I think was a great idea. And so she came, she joined. I am the founder of Widows of Opportunity, as an organization that I started after the loss of my husband, and we help and educate widows, widowers, and the bereaved. And she joined the organization, and she hadn't seen the video in 9 years. So her husband at this point had been dead for 9 years. And she never saw the video, and she was still in somewhat of a denial that he was dead because she went through so much trauma with the accident. She had to learn how to walk again. She went through rehab. It was so many things she went through after she lost her husband. And then when she finally comes around and says, okay, ooh, I'm back, life is okay, where's my husband? Oh, he's dead, he died. So it was just too much for her to take in. So she joined the organization, and I told her, in order for her to move forward, she has to go through the memorial. She has to do the some type of memorial. So what we did was I set up a date with her, and I watched, she sent me the video. She never saw the video, never saw the funeral. I watched the entire funeral on the video, and I went straight to the video where because it was about 2 hours long, and I didn't want to do a 2-hour memorial with her. So I went straight to where they opened the casket for viewing. So when we were together, we went to the cemetery where he's buried at. And that's where we did the memorial, at the cemetery. And we were sitting in my vehicle, and I opened up my laptop, and I said, okay, when you press play on this video, in 30 seconds, it's going to show your husband in a casket. So you need to take your time, as long as you need, before you press play. And I remember that moment so vividly, like yesterday. And it's like, this is the first time in 9 years that she's going to see her husband in a casket. She's going to see that this man is really gone. And so she pressed play, and within 30 seconds, she just burst into tears, and she reacted. And it was so hard to see that, because I had empathized with her. Of course, I've lost my husband in an accident. I just remember seeing him in the casket for the first time, and it just took me right back there. So she reacted, and she grieved, and she cried, and she moaned, and she just went through the moment and reacted. And when that was done, we went to the grave, to his grave, and she talked to him, and she read, you know, she wrote a letter that I told her to do the night before. She read the letter, she released balloons. We did a memorial. You could do it any kind of way you want to do it. It's up to you. But she had to, we have to have a goodbye moment with our loved ones. So for those of us like myself, I wasn't able to do the funeral for my stepdad, and I found out in a weird, unfortunate way that on Facebook, out of all places, and I know I'm not the only person to find out on social media that someone's died. For the first time you find out is on social media, and that's hard to find out. It's one thing that call is one thing, that somebody knocking on your door, but to stroll down your social media page and you see a rest in peace to someone that's close to you, it's like, wow. So for those of us who haven't had the opportunity to say our goodbyes to our loved ones, we have to do our own special ceremony memorial for them, for us to be able to move forward. If you're having a hard time moving forward, for me, I'm fine. Some people aren't fine. So if you need to write a letter to them, if you need to go to the grave site where they're at and you need to talk to the grave, release balloons, you need to, whatever you need to do it so that you can move forward in this grieving process. I'm going to come back and talk more about some other stuff, but that's really it. I want to thank you all for viewing my video. If this video helped you in any way, or you think it would help anyone, it's not even if they lost their spouse to COVID, or they lost, just anyone who's lost a spouse and is having a hard time coping, please share this video with them. In other videos, I have a lot more videos that you could share with them as well. Please share the videos with them. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for watching and sharing.